Hey guys, Matthew here, and I'm so thankful that you are taking the time to watch my little video here. I send it to you from my heart because I really believe the information that I have placed in this video is paramount for all of us to know and to hear, and we need to begin to take steps to prepare for what's coming down the road. The economists who are being really honest with us right now are telling us that there is a depression coming that looks so much, that makes the previous depression in 1928 look like child's play. So we have to, at some point, prepare for this thing. Now, I know many of you can prepare on your own. You can buy your own gold reserve. My suggestion is that you would do that. But why in the world would you listen to me? However, there are some of you who are like me. You need help in getting your gold reserve built. You need to make the money to buy the gold. I did some research to try to find out how to do that very thing, and lo and behold, I found a company that is helping people make the money to build a gold reserve. And I believe we can help a lot of other people do the same. Now, if after watching the video that I'm placing after my little spot here, you do not see a need to build a gold reserve for yourself, that's fine. Just don't get back in contact with me and I will leave you alone, I promise. But if you do see the need to build a gold reserve, and if you do need help in building your own gold reserve, I want to help you. I have over 30 years experience in network marketing. And I know how to build a network marketing company. I know what it takes. And I know how to keep you motivated to do what it takes. So if you'll stay with me, watch this little video that's afterwards of Peter Schiff telling you what's going on in the world markets and the economic environment of our day, and telling you why we need gold. Once again, thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. And get back with me if I can help you at all.
Higher in gold. So the question is, where does the precious metal go from here? There is no better person to ask than our favorite gold bug. Peter Schiff joins us on the phone from Euro Pacific Capital. Peter, always great to have you on the phone. I have a feeling I know what you're going to say about gold, but I want to talk to you about your reasons why. Is the safe haven trade back on the table here, and do we rebound this year?
Well, I think as soon as most people on Wall Street, most of the traders come to terms with how wrong they are about the true state of the U.S. economy and about what the Fed is going to do, they will be rushing back to gold. I think so far they're resisting that, and they're still hanging on to the hope that we have a legitimate U.S. recovery, which we do not. You know, for months and months as the Fed was talking about tapering, the reason I said that they probably won't do it was because I knew that the minute they started to taper, the stock market would come down, the real estate market would come down, and we'd go right back into recession, and now the Fed would be forced to reverse the taper to try to revive the markets and create the illusion of economic health, and that is what is happening. And I think the market...
Let me just point out that in the second round here, a lot of people thought we weren't going to see a second round of taper, and in fact, they did stick with it. What if potentially we had a couple of days of selling, but the market does rebound and the Fed goes on with its plan?
Well, the market isn't going to rebound in a meaningful way. I mean, we could get a rally, but the trend in the market is going to be down until the Fed comes out and reverses its taper talk, because the markets need ever-increasing quantities of cheap money. I mean, the whole recovery theory that the Fed is basing the taper on is the wealth effect from rising asset prices, but we can't have rising asset prices without even more support from the Fed. So when the market realizes this, that there is no exit strategy, that it's cheap money forever, that it's going to be more than $85 billion a month in QE, then you're going to start to see a huge increase in the price of gold as you get tremendous pressure downward on the U.S. dollar.
Okay, but how can you say that their taper plan isn't working just because we've had a couple of bad days in equity losses? Actually, when you look at the bond market, despite the fact that the Fed is continuing with the taper, you've actually seen a rally in bonds. Yields are pushing a little bit lower. That was the thing they were the most worried about.
Yeah, the rally in bonds is only because of the false safe haven bid that the bonds are getting because of all the problems just the beginning of the taper is causing. But I'm not basing my idea that taper isn't working on the recent sell-off in the market. I knew this sell-off was coming. That's why I said when the Fed starts to taper, the markets are going down. As the Fed tapers more, the markets are going to be under even more pressure. And imagine how much pressure they would be under if the Fed actually tried to sell some of the $4+ trillion in treasuries and mortgages that are currently on its balance sheet. We are headed right back into recession because all of the problems in the economy were not solved by the Fed. They were exacerbated by the Fed, except we couldn't feel the pain because we were numbed up with all the QE. We were focusing on real estate prices and stock prices instead of the real economy, which was getting sicker because the Fed's QE was toxic and killing the real economy. But it was propping up assets.
Peter, let's bring it back to gold here, the conversation that we're having about gold right now. If you think that investors are flocking to the bond market because that's a safe haven, then why aren't they flocking to gold?
Yeah, well, they're making a mistake. I think you still have this overhang. You still have, remember, J.P. Morgan came out, Morgan Stanley, rather, earlier in January, and when they revised downward their forecast for gold, they said nobody's going to want to own gold because everybody's going to want risk assets because there's nothing to worry about. Stocks can only go up. And that is the mentality of the Wall Street traders. People are still shorting gold on the expectation that there's
Peter,
no reason
Jeff
to have
Gilbert
it.
Here.
Yeah.
I want to jump in for one quick second, bud. And I agree with a lot of you're saying. Maybe not to the exact severity of what you're saying, but when do you get your groove back? What price in gold are you able to say, you know what, it is a safe haven again? Folks got to get back in the water because a lot of investors got burned in the last year and a half from 1900 down to 1181.
Yeah,
what is that price that you get your groove back?
They got burned during 1 year. But so far in 2014, gold is outperforming stocks. The number one sector in the gold market, number one sector in the stock market is the gold fund. By the way, my gold fund is the number one gold fund of all the gold funds. So,
what's the exact level in
already
gold?
Doing well. Huh?
But what's that exact level in gold where folks do come back? Is it 1325, 1425? Give the folks an actual number, please.
I think we need to break through some of the overhead resistance so the shorts get out of the market. I think the main sellers in gold right now are short sellers. So they're selling gold they don't even have. I think all the longs are already out of the market that are going to sell. People like me, we're still there, but I think all the speculative longs have gotten out, and all you have is shorts who are selling gold they don't even have. But at some point, they're going to have to buy it back, and the gold just isn't there. So whether it's 1,300, 1,350, where the magic number is, I don't know. But at some point, gold's going to go straight up. It's going to be like a moonshot. And maybe it's going to have to take Janet Yellen to come out and call off the taper. Or maybe she's going to have to say we're doing more than we're going to start increasing again. I don't know what that magic moment is going to be. For some people, they need the proverbial safe to fall on their head. They need the proverbial safe to fall on their head. But at some point, people are going to figure out what's going on. Right? And by the time the crowd figures it out, it's going to be very expensive to buy gold. So people have to be able to think about these things in advance and see what the masses are missing. And that is the real precarious position that the Fed is in. If they continue with the taper and try to exit QE, they will bring about a worse financial crisis than 2008. All the big banks we bailed out will fail again. We'll be in a much worse recession. To avoid that, they have to do more QE. Not because it's going to work, but just because it will delay the pain a little bit more. But all this QE, all this monetary stimulus is making the situation worse, and ultimately we're going to have to pay for it.
All right, Peter, taking all those things into account, all the factors that you just mentioned, in terms of the gold price for 2014, what's your long-term target for the year?
Well, I don't know where it's going to be at the end of the year. My guess is that it's going to be higher. I think it could be much higher. I think that the outperformance of gold in January can accelerate through the end of the year. I don't think that January is necessarily a head fake. I think it could be a good harbinger of things to come for the balance of 2014. But as I said, the real momentum to a new surge in gold is going to be when the Fed comes back with another QE plan that's even bigger, right? They can't lower rates anymore. We're heading back to recession. What is Janet Yellen going to do to try to revive the economy? There's only one thing she can do, and that's print even more money to try to be an even bigger money printer than Ben Bernanke, who was a bigger money printer than Alan Greenspan. This is what's coming. And when everybody figures it out, there's only one place to hide, and that's gold.
All right, Pete.